Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Tuesday, the 20th of September, 2022. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Let's jump into it. Story number 1, the local share market closed up 1.3% to 6,806 points today, with some of the big caps performing well. The big miners, energy companies, banks and retailers all did well. CSL was the underperformer of the large caps. One notable was IDP Education. It will buy student placement agency Intake Education for up to $83 million. Now, Intake has operations across Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Philippines, Thailand, Taiwan, India, and the UK. IDP will fund the acquisition using a combination of existing cash and debt facilities. Bond yields are also rising in expectations of higher interest rates. That feeds through to term deposit rates. The highest ongoing savings rate has hit 4% for the first time since 2015, according to Rate City. Bank of Queensland is offering that rate. It's double what it was offering before the Reserve Bank started lifting interest rates back in May last year. Don't get too excited though. The account is only available to people aged 14 to 35 for balances up to $50,000. But it's a start. Story number 2, the minutes of the Reserve Bank board meeting were released today, and they say the case for a slower pace of rate increases is becoming stronger. At the last meeting, the board talked about lifting interest rates by only 25 basis points, not the 50 basis points that they eventually did. The minutes said the size and timing of future interest rate increases will continue to be guided by incoming data and the board's assessment of the outlook for inflation and the labour market. The board says it will keep moving on rates until price stability is attained, and also said, all else equal, members saw the case for a slower pace of increases in interest rates as becoming stronger as the level of the cash rate rises. Story number 3, the ACCC Deputy Chair Delia Rickard has put business on notice, saying that companies making environmental and sustainability claims in their marketing need to be ready to substantiate them. At the Sydney Morning Herald Sustainability Conference, Rickard said the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission is actively targeting greenwashing this year and looking for companies that make false or misleading claims which undermine consumer trust and confidence in the market. Ms. Rickard said the ACCC is hearing growing concerns that businesses are falsely promoting environmental or green credentials to capitalise on changing consumer preferences. The Australian Securities Exchange has also announced its intention to crack down on those that claim to be green, but whose claims cannot be substantiated. Story number 4, Australia will support a G7 plan to impose a price cap on Russian oil. The G7 group of nations are proposing a cap which will limit Vladimir Putin's ability to fund the invasion of Ukraine. Of course, it would also ease pressure on the cost of living. Australia has already banned imports of Russian oil, gas and refined petroleums, but we do operate in a global market, so it does affect us. The idea is that nations combine to effectively intervene in the market for energy. And story number 5. After 10 days of mourning, the world is getting back to normal after last night's extraordinary Queen Elizabeth II's funeral. One of the interesting stories to emerge today was the unusual seating arrangements for powerful people. One that really made the news was US President Joe Biden being seated 14 rows from the front, well behind Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. Protocols dictate that Commonwealth leaders outrank those from the rest of the world. Also, disgraced Spanish former King Juan Carlos, a distant cousin of the Queen, was invited and seated next to his son, King Philippe. It's the first time the two men were photographed together in public since the King's exile. Governor-General's got the best seats, then elected leaders of the Commonwealth, then the rest, including President Biden. And finally, the note on the flowers. There was plenty of debate in my house anyway about what it said. It came from King Charles, and it simply read, "In loving and devoted memory, Charles R." That's it for the afternoon report for Tuesday, the 20th of September, 2022. Don't forget to hit follow on the podcast and find Fear and Greed on LinkedIn, Twitter and Facebook. Join Michael Thompson and I tomorrow morning for the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed, the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.